Hello and welcome to the Kniterary. I'm Katie, and today I'm going to be talking through some vest and slipover patterns. So, I don't know if the vest slipover trend is like infiltrated the whole knitting zeitgeist or if it's just me, super into them right now. But I keep seeing patterns that want to derail all the whips I currently have in progress, and I just want to have crazy cast on energy for this type of garment. It might be the season. It is slowly tiptoeing into spring here in Michigan, but there's plenty of days where putting on something that's actually a little bit warmer is really great. And then on those days where it is a little bit warmer, you can wear I like the flexibility of wearing a lot of the patterns as just tanks. And so I don't know if I'm just enamored or if everyone's enamored, but I've been looking through patterns, so I thought I would share them. I also asked a few videos ago, I have some double Sunday with mohair, and I asked for recommendations on patterns to make with that because I changed my mind on what I was going to do. And so a lot of people came in with some really helpful comments That's it. And so thank you all for commenting. I loved seeing what people recommended, things that people love knitting. And so some of those are the patterns I'm going to be talking about today. And then some of them are other ones that I've just like brought into things I'm really inspired by right now. So in honor of vest and slipovers, today I am wearing my Friday slipover by Petite Knit. This is knit in Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Oatmeal, and then Filcolana Tilia mohair. This is like one of my favorite combos of yarn actually, and I just love the color and how this turned out. It's gonna slowly creep up into one of my most worn objects. Because I love slipovers, and this one's so wearable, and I'm obsessed with it. As far as the patterns go today as well, Petite Knit has a variety of amazing vest and slipover patterns. I will not be talking about any of them today. Partially, I love her, and you know that, but they do get, talked about a lot more frequently. I've also already made 2 Petite Knit slipover patterns this year. So in honor of getting some variety and highlighting other designers, I will not be sharing any additional Petite Knit patterns, but I already made this one, and I made the Esther vest, which I love the finished object as well of that one. So I do recommend those, but I won't be going into detail there. So with that, the first pattern that I want to share today is the Pelica vest by Rosa Pomar. Somebody commented this on my video, and I was immediately obsessed when I looked this up. And the yarn I actually have, I was like, okay, yep, this is what it's going towards. This is knit with a worsted weight yarn on 4.5 millimeter needles. Since I immediately was like, yes, I've actually kind of changed my mind on using that yarn for it. Now, I'm not, who knows, maybe. But I have this Noro yarn that I really like, and I bought it at one of my local yarn shops. And I got 4 skeins, so I certainly don't have enough. So I would have to get more, which everybody knows finding Noro is not easy. So I am going to have to look for a few more of these if I want to do this, and I would probably have to hold it with a fingering or remote hair to hit gauge. But I think that this yarn in this pattern would just make the perfect Old English countryside peasant village vest. And so I just think it would be such a fun object to have in this yarn. But we will see. I think I have 4 skeins of this, and I did the yardage, and I would need 2 more, I believe. Of course, that might be dependent on what I hold it with. I almost wonder if I could hold it double too, but then I would need more, and that would be unideal. So if anybody knows where I could acquire more of this, please let me know. It's the Tokonatsu in color 101. So that's the first pattern I'm super inspired by. Thank you to the commenter on that one. Next is the Tulip Loop vest by Other Loops. This one is knit in a DK plus a lace weight yarn or an Aran weight yarn, and is knit primarily on 4.5 millimeter needles as well. I know that the Tulip Loop sweater is having a huge moment right now in the knitting community, and I like the front of the Tulip Loop sweater, but in the back it has that little section that's just stockinette in the middle that goes like this. If you know the pattern, you know what I'm talking about. And people knit this pattern because they love that aspect of it. that is just not for me. I don't know. I don't know why I'm not a huge fan of that. And so I always been like, oh, like, could I modify that pattern? Well, the Tulip Blue vest doesn't have that. And so I'm like, wait, this might be perfect to get my itch for that chunky cable that kind of looks like a tulip without that weird aspect. It's not weird. It's just not for me. And so when I saw the vest pattern, I was like, wait, this might be it. I love the idea of wearing this over like a blue and white striped collared shirt in knit in white during the springtime when it's like a little bit cooler. And I do have this Woolstock worsted. I knit my Billy pullover in this, and I have the majority of a 150 gram ball left of this. And so I'm like, wait, this might be the perfect opportunity to use this. I would of course have to gauge swatch because this is not the recommended yarn, but this one I might cast on. This one might derail other plans because I have probably the yarn I would want to use for it. So super excited about the prospect of that. These are the only two, these first two are the only ones that I have yarn that I would be thinking about using for them. And so just so you know, I don't have yarn for all the rest of these, but those two, super inspired by and love. Next pattern I want to share is the Roma vest by Mochi Knits. This is knit in a fingering weight yarn. And there's 3 needle size listed on Ravelry for this, and I don't have the pattern, so I don't know if it's knit on the 3.5, 4, or 4.5 millimeter needles. I'm assuming the 3.5 is going to be some ribbing details, but I don't know if it's knit on the 4 or 4.5, unsure. This is a textured vest with this, I assume a double knit button band, and I just love the texture of this one. And I'm currently knitting something by Mochi Knits and am loving the pattern. And I think Mochi Knits, I only have one pattern, and the pattern I'm doing is the vest Taipei. Okay, another vest. And so that actual pattern I wouldn't say is good for beginners, but the way that the pattern is written, I think she would be a great person to start with if you're a little bit newer to knitting, to get into a little bit more textured knits or just as something new, because her patterns are really well written, and she has a lot of photos on them, like diagrams of where you're picking up the shoulder stitches and that type of thing. Like when you do short row shaping, she shows that it looks like a trapezoid, which I think can be super helpful if you've never done some of the techniques before. So I love this one. I feel like this is one that I will keep on the back burner and is something I would like to knit one day, but probably won't be immediate cast on because I think it's pretty timeless and it doesn't feel urgent to me right now. I don't know the yardage needed for this, but I imagine it's not extensive as well. And so this could be something to knit when I have like a little bit of leftover yarn. Or I ordered too much of something, so. The last one that will probably be a cast on for me, and I already talked about this in my considerations, and in the considerations I said, I don't know if I just love the idea of it or if I would actually wear it. And so that is the Vilma top by Gregoria Fibers. This is an Aran weight yarn, 4 millimeter needles. The recommended yarn is Filcolana Peruvian, which I love that yarn, and I think that could be enough to sell me on knitting this because I just love using that yarn, and so a pattern that uses that yarn. But this is a button-up vest as well, and it has some eyelet details, almost like little flowers, and the lines down there. I love the detailing on how it looks like there's ribbing, but there's actually not ribbing. It's just this little detail with eyelets. I think it's so cute. It's so dainty. I think I would be really curious how the knitting process goes for it because it looks so dainty, but it's knit on an Aran weight yarn. And this is something that you would like almost imagine would be knit on a fingering weight yarn. But I bet it holds its structure really well using that yarn. I used that yarn in my book club cardigan, and I love the structure that it produces. So super in love with this pattern, and I think it's been a while now that I've liked it, and so it was something I knew I should not immediately cast on because I might change my mind on it, but I continue to go back to it and really like it, and so I think maybe this one could hop on the needles at some point. The rest of the patterns that I'm going to share are likely not going to be cast-ons for me. These are recommended ones that I had in my comments that I think are really cute and fun patterns, but probably won't be for me right now. Not never. I'm sharing them because I'm like, I really do like the pattern. It just doesn't fit the bill of things I'm currently looking to add to my wardrobe. The first one is the Riptide Slipover by Jennifer Shiels Toland. This is knit in a DK weight yarn on 3.75 millimeters. This one is really pretty. I feel like this would be a great one if you want to wear as a slipover and you want to wear as a tank. I don't know what the recommended yarn is, but I think if you did like a cotton merino especially, it could really be a good transition piece in the seasons. I love the detailing on the front here. I don't know how she does that. I would definitely need the pattern to know how to do that. And then I like this side. It's like ribbing, I believe, on the side there. And I think that just adds some dimension to it and really balances the center detail that you see. So this one's super fun. Probably not for me right now, but I could see myself knitting this in the future or knitting this for a friend as well. Next, this one's super popular, and I think the pattern just, people love this pattern. It's the Staffin vest by the Creabea, Rebecca Clow. It's on a worsted weight yarn on 5 millimeter needles. And the great thing, and I think why people love this so much, is she has taken the vest, the cardigan, and the sweater, and it's one pattern. So you get that textured look in all these different styles of knits. And I love the texturing on this one. I think it's great. And yeah, ultimately, I do love this one, and I think everybody loves this one. Right now, I think in my mind, going into spring, I'm looking spring to summer, or winter to spring to summer transition pieces, and I feel like this one would be better for that fall to winter transition. So it's just not seasonally right now what I'm looking for. But I think that Rebecca Clow has amazing patterns, and it definitely will be on my back burner list as well. Next is the Hello Friend by Leslie Friend. This is knit on a worsted weight yarn in 4.5 millimeter needles. This one I wanted to share because it is just a very basic slipover pattern. And so I know that Cezanne has a few slipover patterns that people love and try to knit copycats of. And this one's not an exact replica of that, but it could be an option for you, especially if you like I don't know if it's a 2x2 ribbing or a 3x3 ribbing, but it has that different ribbing look on it all over. But I think that if you just want a vest and you want to start out, you want to try wearing a vest for the first time, this could be a good pattern for you. I think it'd be a good alternative. Probably has a couple different details than the Novice Slipover by Petite knit, which I have knit in the past as well. And so I wanted to make sure I shared this one. Somebody commented it, and I thought this was a great recommendation. It would be perfect for the yarn combo I have as well. But I don't want to knit something close to the Novice Slipover in that yarn. And so I probably won't use it for this, only because I'm looking for something that isn't close to that. But I thought that was a great recommendation. Thank you. Someone also recommended the Timbo vest by Gabriella Calderini. This is knit in a bulky weight yarn on 6.5 millimeter needles. I don't know the last time I pulled out my 6.5 millimeter needles, but I think this is such a fun pattern. And if you need something that you're going to be able to whip out really quickly, I think that this is a great option. Like if you just need that adrenaline rush of finishing an object really quickly, this could be a really fun option. It is textured, so maybe it wouldn't knit up super fast, but maybe this is a great time to dive into a textured knit, because you know it's not on a fingering, it's not on a DK weight yarn, like it will go a lot faster even though you're starting to do a texture. I love that the texture is different on the shoulders there. I think that's really unique and adds some dimension again to it. It really highlights the neckline, which I really enjoy. It also changes colors right here, and I do think if I were to knit this, I wouldn't change color. It's very color blocky, and for me, I don't think I would put it on if it was two colors. It would just be a hard thing for me to wear with the things I enjoy wearing. And so I like the detail. I probably wouldn't do it. But I do think for people who are more bold than I am, getting that color blocking and matching different colors would be super fun. So I think that's a great recommendation as well. All right, we're on to my very last recommendation of the day, and that's the Montpellier Slipover by November Knits. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. This is knit in a DK and a lace weight yarn, so a worsted weight yarn, and knit on 5mm needles, so it would probably work up pretty fast. I love the high neck on this one. I think it's very elegant and great, and then it also has a side detailing of some ribbing that I really enjoy. Again, this one for me is a better transition for fall into winter rather than right now. And so it probably won't be an immediate cast on, as well as I already bought the pattern for the Montpellier top and I just acquired yarn for it as well. And so I'm already knitting something in this line by November Knits and I'm super excited for it. You'll be hearing it on the podcast, obviously, once I start. And so I do think if I knit that right now, I mean, in a couple weeks probably, if I start that and love it, if I love that throughout the summer, this might be super tempting for me to cast on in September, October, to get something with that high turtleneck and to keep me warm as we dive into winter here. So also super enjoy that. That is all I have to share today. I hope that this was helpful. Maybe you found one pattern that you can use some yarn already in your stash, or if you're just looking for a new object to acquire some yarn for and have a new transition piece, maybe one of these is a great recommendation for you. This is my first time doing a pattern recommendation video, so please let me know if there's anything that would be super helpful for me to share about the patterns as I went through. I obviously did the yarn weight and the needle size, but I know there might be something else where it's like it'd be super crucial to have this. Please just let me know. Would love to hear what vest and slipover patterns you're knitting, if you like them and if you wear them as well. But I'll be back in a couple weeks with a podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching.